Hey there, resourceful Raini here, and we are going to start a new series. Think of this as like an Ann Landers, an advice column type series, and we are going to call it Real Talk with Raini. We are going to take one real life question and turn it into your next right step. How does that sound? I reached out to some of my networking groups and just asked them, send me something. And I think that you will likely identify with in an area of your life. Maybe not this exact one, but I think it's something that we can all identify with. So we're just going to jump in. I'm going to read you the letter and then we're going to start talking about it. All right? So here we go. Hi, Raini. I am in a weird place, and I don't know if I'm allowed to call it a transition or what you call a disruption, because nothing dramatic happened. On paper, my life is fine. I have had a decent relationship for a long time. We aren't toxic. There's no cheating. Nobody has blown anything up. We just slowly became roommates. The connection has faded and my future felt smaller and smaller. I find myself daydreaming about a different life. Now, I am in the process of moving on. No big breakup moment, no slamming doors. I think we're both relieved. But, all caps, but, instead of feeling excited, I feel guilty. Like I didn't have a good enough reason to leave. Am I being ungrateful for a peaceful but vanilla life? I keep hearing this voice that says, other women have it so much worse. Who are you to complain? But I also can't ignore the other truth. If I stay in this half-life, am I going to wake up in 5 years and feel like I wasted time I can't get back? So here's my question. How do I stop second-guessing myself when I don't have a dramatic story or clear villain? How do I trust that wanting more is a valid reason? And it's signed, Feeling Selfish for Wanting a Restart. Super interesting. And I think even if you haven't felt yourself in this type of situation in a relationship, perhaps it's in a job or a volunteer situation, something like that. It's just not great. It's not terrible. And maybe there's nothing awful that's happened that would really instigate an exit, but you're just not happy with the way things are. So let's dive into this a little bit. We are going to call her a restart because that's exactly what she's doing. She's restarting. And I do have to commend her for taking that very first step. So she does mention here that she is in the process of moving on. So she's made a decision and she's taking that first step. That first step is often the most difficult. But now she's struggling with feeling as if her reasons aren't valid. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was a couple of guys talking. I'd have to do some digging to see exactly which podcast it was. But these two guys were talking, and one of them theorized that he probably causes chaos and disruptions in his own life in order to have a valid reason to make a change. So I thought that was really interesting. And I know we've all heard about it happening. You do get in arguments, you create conflict in a relationship when you're trying to get out of it, right? So then they make the decision. You're not the bad guy for saying, hey, I want to leave. You make things so miserable for them that they want to leave. I know it's a thing. So in this case, she didn't do that. And it sounds like they both agreed that perhaps moving on for both of them was the better move. So, restart. What seems to be stopping you is not knowing where you're going. And when I work with my clients, one of the very first things that we want to take a look at is we want to figure out how you got to the point where you are right now. What were some of those events, the decisions that you made? Don't get stuck in reliving anything negative that's gone on. I understand in your case there's nothing terrible, but those of you who are maybe thinking about exiting, you have a tumultuous relationship, don't get stuck in that. But think about decisions that you've made and what the impetus of that decision was. Those are the things that we can reflect on to figure out how we got to this point where we are, learn from those decisions so then we can make better ones as we move forward, right? We're learning from what we've done in the past. We don't need to beat ourselves up about it. We are just using it as data so we can make better decisions in the future. So that's the first thing that I would like you to do is reflect on how you got to where you are now. And if there were some things that you could have done differently, you can't go back. Don't get stuck in the stinking thinking. Just understand that if I'm faced with this again, I will make a different decision going forward. Have that in mind. Then the next thing, and here is the next right step that I want you to take, is you've figured out that where you are is not where you want to be. But here it doesn't sound like you've decided where you want to go. And so that is your next step, is figuring out what that destination is for you. And it's a very important part because otherwise you're just going to be drifting, hoping that something shows up that you will feel more passionate about. We have an exercise that we do to help you discover what that destination could be. It's one of the very first things that I do with my clients. So then we can create what I call a roadmap so we can get to wherever it is that you want to go. So there's your next step, restart, is figuring out what is your next big destination. It's not this vanilla life. What flavor is it? What flavor do you want to explore? And as you get out there and start learning what else is available for you out there, not just in relationships, I'm talking about in life, you may decide on a different destination, and I say that's perfectly fine, but you have to start with something. So come up with that. If you have some trouble coming around that, if you want to maybe do that exercise that I talked about, I do offer a clarity call. I'll drop the link in the comments. Feel free to grab a spot on my calendar so we can sort that out for you, so you can relaunch into this beautiful new life that you are stepping into. And I want to hear how things go. And if anyone else has a question that they would like to ask, feel free to drop it in the comments and I will be happy to take it from there. This has been Real Talk with Raini, and here is to fresh starts and fearless moves. I'll see you next time.